we have been discussing various types of secondary articulation. And we discussed co-articulation, overlapping, and secondary articulation within consonants, okay, and also within connected speech. So in this session, we are going to summarize the important secondary articulatory gestures possible for consonantal sounds, right? So four secondary articulatory gestures are important. Palatalization, when the palate is involved, right? And then velarization, when the back of the tongue is raised, right? And the root of the tongue is involved. And then pharyngealization, when the pharyngeal cavity is expanded or narrowed. Most of the time it's narrowed, right? In order to create sounds. So that's the pharyngealization. And the symbol used is the small pharyngeal IPA diacritic. And then the fourth one, which is labialization, when in some sound, the lip rounding or the application of, the roll of lip is superimposed, right? That's levied at the top of the primary articulation. So these four are the important secondary articulatory gestures, and I'm giving you the summary of them so that you can understand them and you can analyze all these four types of secondary articulatory gestures in your analysis of sounds, right? So let's go to the table. This is the table taken from your chapter 9 of the book by Leda Fogart and Keith Johnson, right? So what is happening here is that the phonetic term used for palatalization is for this secondary articulatory gesture, and the description is that the front of the tongue is raised. The same situation is taking place in order to, articulate the high vowel sound like E, right? So that E position is when the tongue is raised and the front of the tongue is used, right? So these are the sounds which are, produced, and these are the symbols, right? So for this, the symbol is the small y, which is superimposed on the sounds. So this is s, l, and d, right? So these are the sounds. The second one is the velarization, and velarization is basically the raising of the back of the tongue, right? The back of the tongue is raised, and the sound made is the velarize, like the l sound, l, like in pill, l. So that l is basically the dark l, and the tilde through the l is showing that this is the l sound produced while adding the secondary articulatory gesture of velarization. And for velarization, we can use both of the tilde and this small, velarization symbol. It is also used for pharyngealization, and this tilde, okay? And it's like the back of the tongue is used. So it's b, right? So that's the back of the tongue is raised, okay? And these are the symbols, right? Then the third super important is pharyngealization for Arabic sound, okay? That's the third type of secondary articulatory gesture. And for this, the retraction of the root of the tongue, because the root of the tongue is retracted, okay? And the examples are that this ayn, the Arabic ayn, that's added to the primary articulatory gesture is a secondary articulation. And the fourth one is labialization, which is quite common in English as well as in Arabic. And it's very simple. It's very simple, the most simple among the secondary articulatory gestures. And that's the addition of the lip rounding. So whatever you are producing from whatever part of articulation, with whatever manner of articulation, you are superimposing labialization, that you are using lips, okay? So that's application of lips that makes the sound v, right? And this is the small v sound which is superimposed. And the English example of v sound, v consonant could be given, which is basically velar, but it is made labialized, right? So we also call this bilabial as well as velar, okay? And the sounds, this is sw. If you know how to articulate the Arabic so, then that swad is this one. S, superimposed labialization. Then lv and dv, right? So these are quite easy to pronounce for people who read Arabic and who can just recite the Holy Quran. So they are very much used to the articulation of this labialization, because it's a very common phenomenon of Arabic language.